Welcome to Wanderlust and Wishes, the podcast where we explore the world one destination at a time.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Krystle.
As travel agents with fantastical vacations, we are here to share our passion for travel and help you turn your wanderlust into reality.
From hidden gems to bucket list adventures, join us as we dive into the sights, sounds, and stories of our favorite destinations.
So grab your passport, pack your bags, and let's embark on this journey together. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 69 of Wanderlust and Wishes. Today, we're super excited to welcome back Lindsay and Jacob to talk about their Adventures by Disney trip to Peru.
Hey, everybody.
Yay, welcome back.
Thanks for having us back.
Hey. We recorded an episode a couple months ago, episode 46, and we talked about their Adventure by Disney trip to Greece. And they kind of caught the bug a little bit. We'll let them talk more about that in detail. And we're able to go to Peru using Adventures by Disney as well. Just as a reminder, Adventures by Disney is a guided group travel experience using Disney's signature level of service. The tours are largely all-inclusive. They handle all the logistics like transportation and meals, and they are led by Disney-trained adventure guides who provide VIP access, cultural insights, and concierge services, allowing all of the travelers to have a seamless and memorable experience without the stress of planning.
All right, let's jump in. So you went to Greece. First of all, what made you want to do another ABD? Well, I guess I should say quickly, ABD, it just stands for Adventures by Disney, just because that's a mouthful. So, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, so when we were in Greece, our guide there, Chris, whom we love and still talk to some.
Shout out to Chris.
Yeah. So we were talking about like what all different places we want to go next, and we've been looking at South Africa. There's a couple of different ones that we were looking at, Egypt, but Peru had never been on our radar at all. And so we were talking to him about it because he's done a ton of them. He's done all over the world. He's done stuff with companies besides Disney. So he's done it with is it Discovery Channel or National Geographic? National Geographic. So he's done it with all these different companies and stuff. He still says Disney's the best, but he said Peru was one of his absolute favorite destinations. And it's super, I don't want to say under the radar, but he just had a lot of great things to say about it. He's like, you've got to do it. And he also said there's a small to decent chance that if we did that he might be giving that tour. So that put it on our radar. It didn't mean this is what we're going to do. But the reason we wanted to do another ABD is because the first one just went so well. The relationships that we made on it, I think that's some of the difference is we made relationships and friendships that are still lasting to this day. And that was over a year ago, July of last year. So over a year ago, we still have some of those friendships and talk to them. Lindsay's a lot better at it than I am. I'm a terrible friend, I think, but
that's not true.
Lindsay keeps up with people.
I'm just louder. Yeah.
So that's kind of why we wanted to do another one. Is the first one was amazing and it pretty much checked all the boxes for us. And we thought, let's just do it again. And then the reason exactly why we picked Peru was we just kept pulling up every time they released the schedule for new trips and what the prices were. And this time Peru hit during the time frame that we wanted to, and it was really discounted. So it was way less than we were expecting and way less than some of the other ones. And we're like, well, since it's on our list, and I think that might be how we choose our trips going forward, is let's just look at each time and maybe make it a little bit of a mystery of where we're going next year and just pick the one that has the best price point for us. And it worked out really well for us.
Yeah, and we want to take the kids when they get older, probably 2027, 28, and that start including them in these trips. And we felt like Peru would South Africa would definitely be somewhere we want to take them. And so we thought Peru may be somewhere it's a little more intensive and outdoorsy and things like that the kids may not want to do until they're older, So we were trying to kind of come up with ones that'll work for us just as a couple, and if that makes sense, without the kids for a little while. So it hit that bucket too.
Did you, for this trip, we know that you did kind of look at other things the last time around, but for this time around, did you look at any other touring companies or did you just stick with Adventures by Disney?
This time we just stuck with Adventures by Disney. Last time I was trying to get Jacob on a trip that was Disney adjacent. Remember, he's kind of Disney adjacent. He likes it, but he doesn't want to go to the parks every year. And so once we saw how good it was going to be, we actually spoke with a lot of our new friends in Greece on the AVD about other companies. They've been on a couple others, but it's kind of hands down that if you can afford Adventures by Disney, it's the right way to go. And they also have their like their loyalty program. Once you've gone on one and you get a little more merch for the second one and third and things like that, you get to book a little earlier. It's just like anything else. We love to have a company we're loyal to get those perks that are involved in that. So I'm not opposed at all to another company, but I'm really not searching or seeking out anything different. At this point, we probably are just Adventures by Disney loyalists.
So you sold Jacob on the Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I could see us doing Adventures by Disney for the next 3 to 4 trips like that. And then maybe after we have, 4 or 5 under our belt, looking at somewhere like Talk or National Geographic or whatever.
Yeah. Well, they have more itineraries to different countries. So as long as the itinerary for the country works with Adventure by Disney, it'll probably be easy for us to do that. But they just have more options, I guess, with some of the other companies. I don't really know why. I think it's just because Disney is so tailored that they try to squeeze every bit of VIP experience into that one tour. So that would potentially, we're not opposed. Just that might sway it just a little bit, or just maybe to get another experience.
I guess for me, it would be like when we run through most of the itineraries and locations with Adventures by Disney, not that we grow tired of it and not that there's not enough, but I could see at some point being like, we've done 6 or 7 of these. We've seen most of the places that we want to see. But
there's 40 destinations.
I know there's 40. We're not going to do all 40. But
we might. We might. We're still young.
Yeah. But anyways, I could see after we've done several and hit like most of our highlights looking at another company. But right now, I don't really feel a need to switch it up.
See, he's so loyal now.
It's good.
It's really good.
Okay, so let's start walking through your itinerary. Where did you go? What stood out? Some of your favorite moments? Some of those things.
We started in Lima. So that's what's kind of like crazy about Peru is that you fly into Lima and you have a night in Lima. We stayed at the Westin, which was just beautiful. Our room was high up and it had like floor to ceiling windows all around that had just views of the entire city. So that was fabulous. But then the next day you have that whole day in Lima, but it's not with the tour guides. And then the next day you fly straight to Cusco. When we looked at the itinerary, we thought it was kind of weird. But once we got there, we realized that Lima is really just to walk around and look at the wonder of it all. Look at all the, you're looking at mountains on one side and beach on the other side. And then there's not really tours. It's really just wander until you happen upon something really neat. So like we went to it was a fountain of magic, I think is what it's called. And it had a World of Color from Disneyland type fountain experience of just the history of Peru. We happened upon it was a Te Amo festival, and it was just like a love festival with all these flowers and graffiti, and like they had this whole tunnel with neon graffiti. I mean, just things you just wander around and see, and that was kind of cool. Just we found this park that was just completely dedicated to cats. So, I mean, I'm talking like cat trees, and there's like houses for cats everywhere, and there's people are feeding them and doing these things. I mean, it's just wandering around, just getting a feel for the country. That was really neat for us, just to kind of happen upon stuff as we went. And the guides, we met them that morning. They kind of told you where was safer, where was more exciting, things like that. So we got that information from them. So that was kind of our first day in Lima.
I will say, like when we were in Lima, one of the things that we wanted to do, because I had a coworker that went before us, and they had he did some experience there. And he did not do ABD, but he should have. And he did an experience where he got to swim with like sea lions and stuff. And we tried to do that, but the weather was not right.
It was a little bit late in the day.
And we would have had to go on the first thing. Like we would have had to schedule that before we even got there. I kind of wish we had gotten to do that, but we didn't. But again, like she said, the hotel that we stayed at was amazing. I think that might be one of the best like city type hotels that I've ever stayed in. It was amazing.
And the breakfast was so good. I mean, it had different Peruvian options, but also, your American options. It had, I mean, you could have made a breakfast, lunch, or dinner out of that breakfast, and it was included in the tour. So that was really, really good.
Yeah. So after day one, that was just the first day. Early in the morning, I think it was like 6. It was rough.
Yeah,
pretty
it was
early.
rough.
We flew to Cusco. And so that was, they took us to the airport with our luggage, and then they took us to the luggage station, helped us do our bags, and then just walked us through each step of the way in the airport. Obviously, you're in a foreign country. English is not the first language, so there's a little bit of difficulty there, but the guides are with you the whole time, and it makes it so easy. And then, like, where to go to wait for the airport, they just held our hand the whole way through that process, made it really easy. And we got on the plane, went to Cusco, drove all the way to our hotel there, which was also amazing. I think that day all we did was we had like the welcome dinner that night.
No, we had that catered lunch. We went straight off the plane, remember? Well, they give you time to adjust to the altitude. And so like as soon as we got we got there early in the morning, so our hotel I guess it wasn't ready, but we had a lunch it's called the Center for Traditional Textiles of Cusco. And so we get there and we go to this little area and they have this whole picnic set up for us. And there's hors d'oeuvres, there was ceviche and guacamole. There's these things they were like beet chips, in which I'm not a beet person, but these were so good with the guacamole and the ceviche. It was just a really good combination. And then we had, I mean, we talked about this. This is the same in Greece. Every single meal, it's like appetizers before the appetizers, then appetizers, and then an entree, and then a dessert before the dessert, and then another dessert. It's just like crazy amounts of food every time, or at least both times we've been and everyone we've spoken to about it. So that meal was really good. But they were also giving us specific, what was that tea that they kept giving us?
Coca tea.
Coca tea. And it's supposed to help with altitude sickness and nausea and things like that. But I mean, you could feel it. You could feel it. I could feel it in my chest. It was kind of tight when we got there. You don't want to like bend over really fast because you kind of get dizzy. A couple of the kids with us had to get some oxygen just to kind of pep them back up, just because it's rough and kids are not going to just be still. So they were still running crazy and just trying to feel a little better. But they had anything we needed as far as acclimating to the altitude. And so that was really helpful.
There's some sweet little llamas there. You
Yeah.
got to pet them and feed
And
them.
alpacas, yeah.
That's what I'm here for. I'm for pet.
Oh yeah, any animal situation. Jacob's still like he's so sad about the sea lions, but we got some alpacas the next day. So we saw a weaving demonstration. So they showed us. I mean, whenever they make their products, I mean they obviously shave the alpacas or the llamas, and then they spin the wool and they dye it themselves and they separate it out and make it into yarn. I mean, they do everything from start to finish until you get a finished product. And we were watching the demonstration. They were like putting ponchos on us and hats that they had made, just because it was a little bit cooler up there. A lot of people thought when we went that we was going to be hot when we were there, but it was technically the end of their winter. So it was very comfortable, like low, like high 60s, high 40s at night, things like that. But so they were just making us real comfortable. And all of this stuff was so expensive for us as far as just getting souvenirs. But you understand why, because the amount of, yes, I mean, there was one blanket they showed us that took 10 or 11 women to make. It took them 3 months for all of them to make it together. Blankets, of course, it's going to be thousands of dollars. I mean, think about the time and value of that. So that was just really neat. And they were explaining how they're trying to preserve the dignified labor and the authenticity of the wool and the different, because you can get everything made synthetic and all that stuff that are not real. They call it, they say it's either baby alpaca or maybe alpaca. I guess that's like their version of like pleather, So they were kind of showing us the differences and how you can tell what's authentic and what's not. So that was a really cool experience. And that was a good, just a good welcome to Peru type deal before we got to go to our hotel.
Okay, so then we went to our hotel.
Yeah.
And this was like, you're going through, and it's not the most prestigious area. Like, you can tell, like, there's not a ton of money besides tourism and stuff. And so you're going through there, and I'm like, where is this hotel going to be? And because I don't want to be judgmental or anything, but I look around and I see, and I'm like, what is this hotel going to be like? Because I'm like, there's no like even 2-story buildings or anything. It's all, I don't want to say complete poverty, but it's pretty low. And so we're driving around, and then they take us to this like private, almost like golf club resort type entrance. Mm-hmm. And they bring it back there, and it is one of the most beautiful, like landscape picturesque, like places I've ever seen in my life. It's like
it's a lot like driving into the Poly, like how it's, there's all of a sudden there's just like greenery and everything. The vibe kind of changes, and there's water, and it's just really, it's just like going to a different resort that's inclusive. You know what I mean? It's just very different. I mean, it's definitely built for tourists.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, a lot when you go to like Mexico or the Dominican or something, like going from the airport, it's just.
Yes, it's it's a lot like
where are we at? And then all of a sudden there's like the gates and the lush and
it's real protected. And there was just like baby alpacas. There's a whole little farm area of them. So we got to, and they had water areas, and that was really fun. That's a big deal for them. They're really, really proud of their animals. And
no, so they have these 2 alpacas on property that are taken care of. And so sometimes they're outside. And then the sweetest little thing, when we came back in that night, these little baby alpacas they brought them inside with their little sweaters and stuff by the
lobby.
big fireplace in the lobby.
my
And that's just
gosh.
where they were, just waiting for you to like pet them and hang out with them. And so every day, every morning, every night when we come back, just being able to go pet those little alpacas and tell them, hey, like little mascots. I loved it.
Yeah, that was really cool.
But that night was the night that we had the big
That's our biggest dinner.
traditional feast that they made. So they took us out to like a kind of like a little barbecue picnic type area.
Oh yeah, it had like string lights up and it had tables out and they had heaters for us and little bar area and then a buffet. I mean, it was fabulous. It was at the hotel.
At the hotel, right. And then they dug this big pit. Like, we didn't watch them dig it. It was already pre-dug. But they had this pit that was already dug. And they had been cooking stones, like big stones, like maybe the size of your head, like pretty big stones. They'd been cooking it for like 8 hours all day long. And what they did is when we got there, they took all the stones out. They took all the fire and materials underneath it that was heating the stones up. And then that's what they made the base plate for the fire and the cooking of the food. So they put like a tray down with some aluminum foil covering it. And then they just started putting different layers of food down and putting the stones on top of them. So they did put like some sort of wash over the stones when they were hot before they dumped it on everything. But they would take like layer of chicken, a layer of beef, a layer of potatoes. They love their potatoes. That's where potatoes came from, in case you didn't know, is Peru.
Like every vegetable came from Peru. As they were telling us different ones, it was like, where do you think this is from? And it was Peru, always Peru.
Yeah, so a lot of cuisine culture there and origin stories for food. But so they would just do layer after layer, put the rocks down, and then they're like, all right. And then they covered it all up. They put dirt on top of it, like on top of this whole tarp to keep all the heat in. And then they said, this is going to cook for like 45 minutes to an hour. We're going to take you to this traditional show. And they put on like a play for us. It was kind of similar to the water show that we saw, where it showed the history of Peru and kind of what some of their proud cultural heritages is. And it was really interesting. It's not really our cup of tea, but
well, it's all in Spanish. I mean, it's hard to follow a good bit of it, but you can tell there's just a lot of spirit involved and a lot of excitement for them. And they're just Peruvians are very proud of their culture, and it comes through. In our guides, of course we had one American guide and then we had one Peruvian guide. So he was able to tell us what was going on and the history of it all, and it was really, really cool to see that. So yeah, and why don't you tell them what meat that you tried that came out of the pit?
Yeah, so I don't know if it would be a delicacy, but one of the common foods that they ate in Peru is guinea pig. So they had a full guinea pig.
It had a face. Like, it had a face when they put it in there.
Yeah, they put it in there and they cooked it and then they pulled it out and they're like, "You want to try a guinea pig?" And I said, "Sure."
Yeah.
And so I ate that and it was different. I didn't feel like a need to go back for seconds or thirds. Like, I don't think that would be the primary meat that I choose.
Oh,
But
I don't know how you did that. Oh my gosh.
He made me try a little bit. It was real fatty. It wasn't.
Ew.
And I'm not really a big meat person anyway, so that was rough.
I was almost going to guess that because I know someone who lived in Peru for a couple of years and they said that they were offered guinea pig.
It's the whole thing. I mean, it's on menus everywhere.
You walk down the street and there's like guinea pigs in a cage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
unsettling.
not to sell as a pet.
No, it's not a pet. It is food.
So day 2, again, they had the most amazing breakfast in the morning.
Yeah, this breakfast wasn't as good as the Lima breakfast, but it was really, really, really good. But they had like Peruvian hot chocolate, which was so good. I got that every morning. That was so good. And then was it the pancake? Or the waffle?
They had pancakes that were amazing. And I didn't realize this until like the next to last day that we were there. But they were like better than Cracker Barrel pancakes. Okay. And
that's the level. That's your baseline.
They were really good though. But we had that breakfast, and then so that was the next day. That was the day that we took a whitewater raft trip down the Urubamba River. And Lindsay was a little nervous, kind of excited.
Yes, because I've never been whitewater rafting, and I'm not an outdoorsy person. And I was just, you hear about people just getting smacked off a raft and getting hurt, and I was not trying to get wet. It was cold. I have a lot of reservations about outdoor activities. So Peru was already out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. But they gave us wetsuits, and we each had, I think there were like 4 or 5 of us in a raft, and we had like a guide specifically to us. And
we had water shoes, jackets, helmets. I mean, they had said, hey, I got us completely set up. We didn't have to bring any of that.
Yeah. And I mean, when it comes to the river, it wasn't a very heavy, like fast river. When I went whitewater, I couldn't tell you where I went, but when I've done it before, it was a little bit rougher than this. So this was like an ease into it. Like the kids that were there went with us. They were like 10 maybe.
Yeah, 8 to 12-ish.
Yeah, and they had no issue with them doing it all. So it wasn't super. It wasn't like dangerous or anything, and but it was enough of it to give you that thrill. But let me tell you, I think this is one of my favorite experiences, just because you're going down this river at like, I think we're at 9,000 feet. And so you're looking around. So you're literally in this valley going down this river, and everywhere, both sides that you look on, it's just mountains everywhere. And it's one of the most beautiful scenes that I've just ever seen, just going down this river in the middle of the valley. And you can see these mountains to the, like, both sides of us, all around us, just completely surrounded. And to me, this is where it kind of gives you the awe of how small that we are in the world that God created. And it's just, it was just breathtaking. I can't tell you like how amazing it was just to be in that. It was pretty profound.
And this is what I think people are talking about when they say Peru is so beautiful. I think that's what it is, because we also could see a glacier like off in the distance, and just to see that it was snow capped, it was really neat. And you'll see just wildlife. You'll see deer over here, or like there's dogs everywhere. They're kind of around the area, but then there's just birds coming through, ducks. I mean, it's just for my first whitewater rafting experience. It's it's a pretty high level. I don't think it's going to be something that's easily beat for this, because we would kind of just go for a little while, and we had a couple extra guides on this one, but they would tell us all about, this is what you're looking at, or this is the farm. Like we went by a lot of farmlands, and he'd be like, this is where they're growing this or that, or the history of Peru. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, let's raft, let's go, we're going down, blah, blah, blah. And then we'd kind of coast a little longer, and so we learned so much, and we got to have the experience. So it was about an hour and a half, real sunny, so we had to keep sunscreen on, but it was just kind of out of this world. And nobody would fell in. There's no issue, but they did give us like a safety training on what to do if you did fall in.
Yeah.
I mean, it was gorgeous.
And like the whole way down the river too, like our guide just loved talking about Peru. And we went through like politics, we went through religion, we went through like just everything. Agriculture. There were so many questions that we had, and he was there for it. And it was fun just to be able to talk to him about his home country, the pride that he had in it. And, he wasn't afraid to go into like some of the touchy subjects of apparently there's a lot of drama with their election because it was close to election time. I guess every country has that. But yeah, just telling us a little bit about how Peruvian politics works. Got a little politics lesson in the middle of the whitewater raft trip. But yeah, that water, it was freezing cold. I got soaked.
They had the boys in the front, so we didn't have to get wet.
They had a fun time. I think I got the most wet of anybody, because maybe it's because I run my mouth too much. But it was just if there was any opportunity to just get me drenched, he put me in it. But afterwards, it was amazing. And you think it's really, really cold and stuff, but because you're so high up with the altitude and stuff, like when you get in the sun, it's a big difference. And so literally when we got off the raft and we pulled the raft up out of the water, there were like tents set up where we could go change. And I just stripped down to my swimsuit and I just laid out on the grass for a little bit because it just felt so amazing. This is the middle of winter, or I guess the end of winter. I know up there, like, and almost nothing, just soaking in the sun. It was a good moment. And then when we did that, they had another, like, this was like a snack thing. I don't think it was like a full.
Yeah. So they made sure you ate like frequent intervals because they didn't want to have any kind of altitude issues. So after we got back from whitewater rafting, there was a very heavy snacks. I mean, it was like chicken salad, sandwiches, and brownies, and they had ceviche again, hot chocolate. I mean, it was a really good spread for just food for us. They wanted us, because it was going to be a little while before we ate dinner. So they wanted us to make sure we had a good, or maybe it was a while for lunch. It was a while for lunch. So they really take care of you to make sure that you have everything you need and that nobody's looking for food, and it's not just like a protein bar. It's like a spread of food that the company, the whitewater rafting people, they just provided, and it was fabulous. And then we were all wearing our swimsuits under our gear, so they had places for us to go change, and we had the bathroom and all that kind of stuff. So everything is just, I mean, you feel very VIP. They're just taking care of you. It's like you just have like a team of people taking care of you the whole time. So it's neat.
So after whitewater rafting, we went to Ollantaytambo. I don't know if I said that right. Probably not. Rudy would be ashamed of me.
Rudy was our guide from Peru. He was fabulous.
Yeah, but this was one of the ancient Incan temples that they started to build. And they actually didn't quite finish it because the conquistadors, the Spanish, came before they could finish it. But what's crazy is, they have this in Peru. I think the picture that you kind of think of when you see some of the Incan ruins and stuff like that is like the step system where they, how they did their farming, where they would build like a bunch of steps where they would cut in, because it's in the mountain, they would cut into the ground and then they would make a layer maybe 10 feet wide or something that they would grow their crops on, and then they would build it up and then make another layer. And so you have all these steps everywhere built up, and that's where they did a lot of their farming and stuff. So they had this big thing that we climbed to the very top of, and
It was like 220 steps or something.
Yeah.
But they were big.
and it was, I'm going to say, and this was, I think this got up to maybe 10,000.
I think it was 11.
11,000 feet. And it was pretty humiliating. And I felt like I was crazy out of shape, but there was a high school soccer player with us. Like that was his thing.
He was like 15.
Yeah. He just made the club team go.
Yeah, go Sean.
Yeah, go Sean. And so he was a little out of breath too. So I looked over, I was like, okay, I'm not just old and dying. But
You don't realize how much the altitude is going to affect you. I mean, so Rudy would take us up about 10 steps and then he would stop to talk to us, and that would give us time to catch our breath. So, I mean, they're very strategic about how we do it. And it was very much optional. You didn't have to go all the way up. And if you at any point felt kind of blah, you could just go on right back down. I mean, they really took care of you as far as that. Because we had people that were, I mean, we had one man that was 80 years old and he was doing it, so they really do make it, it's accessible if you want to do all the activities. It's definitely doable.
Yeah.
But it's a whole new ball game when you're trying to climb in that altitude. It's just very
That's
different.
very smart of them, to take you just a few steps at a time, and mix it in so that you're still getting the experience, but they're not trying to take you up 100 steps at a time at that altitude and everybody's passing out.
And you're learning a lot. So it's like they're stopping you for your own safety, but it feels like you're just stopping to learn.
Right.
So
right.
it's really well done.
Yeah, and so we got to go to the top of that, and it was like a very strategic point, because at this mountain that we went to the top of for this, you could see like 3 valleys all connecting into one right there. So when you're talking about like seeing anybody coming or going or being able to signal each other for defense, like it was a really strategic point. And then at the top, they were going to build their temple so that when the sun rose in a certain way, it would like hit the light on the temple a certain way and denote a special, I guess, like offering or worship of the gods. So that was kind of cool. At the bottom, I don't know if you know this, but I'm famous. I was in a play.
Oh,
so
yes.
we put on our own play, Peruvian play. Apparently it's a very common play that they put on there.
It just explains that, like the warrior, it explains some of the history of Peru. So we got to volunteer for roles. One of the warriors, his name was Tupac. So Jacob took on that role as a gang, which was very...
I don't think it was the same Tupac that they...
Not the same Tupac, but all of us understood the reference. That was really funny. That was a good bonding moment for everybody that was playing in the play. They try to incorporate youth, and our guides drug a whole bag full of costumes up there so we could change in the costumes and do this play. They just do all the things to make it fun. And of course, all the kids were in that. They just needed a couple just adult volunteers. So that was really cute and fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So,
good work, Jacob.
Famous Peruvian artist, Jacob Young.
It's Jacob.
As Tupac. So after that was when so the really cool thing about this, again, this is the Disney difference. And I think we talked a little bit about it in Athens or in the Greece trip. When we went to tour this place, we went earlier in the morning. It was still before lunch. And by the time that we left, I bet it had doubled in the crowd intensity.
Oh, yeah. It was hard. You were having to wait to go up.
And again, this is what they do. They know the crowds. They know when we're supposed to go, which one it matters to go early or not. And by the time we were leaving, it was difficult to stay with our group. It got so crowded. But when we first got there, I mean, you could tell there were people there, but you wouldn't say this is a huge tourist attraction based on the crowds until after we left. So good job to ABD by getting us through there. And then our bus came and picked us up and took us down to this fancy hotel where we had lunch. Again, I think that was an outdoor lunch again.
Yeah, most of them were outdoors, which was really, really neat.
This is where I got introduced to Inca Cola. So
yes,
in Peru, they have Inca Cola, which is pretty famous. And I didn't really know what it was. It's yellow.
It's very
like
yellow. It looks
bright yellow.
It looks like a very dehydrated pea, honestly.
Mm,
it just does. It has that look. You know what I'm talking about? That bright yellow.
Yes.
It's what color it is.
Yeah. So you look at it and you're like, I don't know about that. But, I was like, all right, I want to finally do it. And so I got some, and it tastes very similar to like a cream soda.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good drink. I would recommend if you go try out the Inca Cola. It's cool, but they don't really sell it many places, so it's kind of a local thing.
ABD always makes sure that you can sample the things that are well known in the country you're in. So they would always have stuff brought in for us, which was neat.
Yeah, and every one of these little like lunch stops and stuff. Not only did they have that, there was always like a little alcoholic refresher that you could grab too. So that's fun to taste a little bit of the local drinks and stuff like that.
And just a side note too, when we were at this place, I mean, there are bathrooms there. It wasn't like Greece where they carried money for us to go to the bathroom. It was just there were bathrooms, but it was like it was difficult, and they never had toilet paper. And the ABD, I mean, they carried toilet paper for us around, like to make sure that we were able to go to the bathroom, and they would show us where to stop. And that's important with these the sites that we went to over the ruins, because it takes a while to get through them if you do them right, and you need to go to the bathroom at some point. You know, you need to eat at some point, and they really took care of every little detail. And that kind of reminded me of Greece, because I remember they would always stop us at the right place and give us our money to go to the bathroom. So that was just a little aside about how much they think about ahead of time.
Yeah, that was just really fun because the guides eat with you, sit with you, and I mean, I guess we haven't really talked about how good of friends at this point we've already been.
Oh yeah, yeah.
At this point, like you already know people's names, you already know like a lot about them because you spent 3 or 4 days with them, and it's just
And all your meals, you know, think about how much you get to know. Like you want to have lunch, it's like you get to know somebody in an hour, but we're having all of our meals and doing all of our stuff and riding in the cars and vans and buses with all these people. So
yeah. So we made again really good friends. Lindsay actually just got to go eat lunch with them in California.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was this week.
Yeah.
So reunited a little bit. They're trying to get us to come out to Oregon. I don't know if we're going to commit to that.
Yeah.
Lindsay's already sold, but I would love to see them. I would love to see them. But
so yeah, that was the funny part of the very first day. There was a girl, her name is Nellie now. I know that now, but she was like taking videos of all of the food and like just, you know, taking pictures and stuff. And then we as travel agents, we do that with everything we eat, everything we touch. We're videoing it or taking pictures, especially you, Krystle, looking at you. So she was taking videos of everything, and so was I. And like, you know, I'm very much like, we know ABD is going to take your picture 1,000 times a day. So I'm like, I got my hair curled, my makeup on, you know, she was all like done up, and I was like, that's my best friend. She's going to be my best friend in Peru. And it's so true. Nellie's my new best friend in Peru. So kind of like we met Melissa last year in Greece, and we're still good friends with her. And well, now Nellie, they live in Los Angeles. So when I was at Disneyland this past week, I went and met them for lunch. You just meet people and you get to know them, and especially with the ones with kids. I mean, that was a big thing. This is about the time where we're all like, we have to go on our next ABD together. We have to all be friends forever. You know, it's their third or fourth day, the middle of the trip. That's when we start. So that's what he's talking about. Yeah. We start getting and we start loving everybody.
You start getting your inside jokes.
Oh yeah,
like that kind of stuff with everybody. It's fun. You get to know some of their personality and characteristics. So that night we went back to the hotel for dinner. I want to say like one of the distinctive ones about this one compared to the Greece trip is this one was way more inclusive. Like there were not many nights that they're like, all right, just go out on the town and here's a couple of restaurants that you can go to.
That's because of the way the city is though.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe that's a lot of it. But I think this one, like even souvenirs and everything we spent outside of what we already paid for was like,
I mean, maybe a couple $100, maybe. Yeah, because everything was in soles. So it was, the conversion rate was like our normal meal, if we get, you know, drink, appetizer, entree, dessert, is probably a little over 100 for the two of us, maybe more, depending where we are. It was like $30, $40. Like it was just a different currency. And yeah, all of our meals were pretty much like in Greece. You asked for kind of differences, but Greece, there's so many restaurants, there's so many things to do, you know, so they kind of give you a lot of free time to explore. That way you can tailor it to what you want to do, which is great for us. But with Peru, it was like, we know exactly what to do and where to go. Here's what to do, you know? So we were together like all the time. And even at this night, they were just like, so there was a special Adventures by Disney menu at the restaurant at the hotel, which all the food at the hotel was fabulous, but you could pick an appetizer, entree, and dessert from this specific menu, and everything we got, like we ate with Nellie and Young. Her husband's name is Young because our last name is Young, so that was a fun.
It was meant to be.
Oh yeah, it was fun. But we ate with them. We were just like we messaged. We had a WhatsApp group where we could all talk to each other. So we just messaged like, "You want to go eat with us?" And so we all ordered something different to try it, and everything we got was good.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's really good.
Yeah, I think between the four of us, everything we got, and that was just the hotel restaurant. And that's not always the case with hotel restaurants. That was a really good night, and we just talked and hung out and ate, and it was a long dinner, but it was as long as you wanted to make it. And a lot of people went to bed early just because we had an next early morning, but you know, we're always trying to do the most. So we stayed up late all the time.
That was the night that the kids had their movie night. So all of the parents got to go have a nice night. They did this in Greece as well, where the guys would take the kids. They'd have a really fun, like I think they made pizzas or.
Guess what movie they watched in Peru?
I was gonna say they better have watched Emperor's New Groove.
100%, yeah.
Good.
Like in Greece, they watched Hercules, and then they watched, you know, it was really cute. So, and all the pins were from Emperor's New Groove, kind of like they were all from Hercules. So, you know, you get the pins at the end of it. Mm-hmm. They were really cool.
So the next morning we woke up and we went to these ruins called Marais, and it was, again, it had like the same sort of like the step thing that you could see, like the
For the
circles
agriculture.
for the agriculture.
Mhm.
And it was super fascinating to us because they said with enough archaeological evidence, and they've been researching all of this kind of stuff, they determined that this whole place was a giant agriculture laboratory.
Mhm.
Wow.
And so they would grow because it was down kind of in the valley. There's a mountain over there. And the way they cut out into this area, they could grow stuff up high, down low, where it got a lot of sunlight, where it didn't get a lot of sunlight.
Mhm.
And they said that's what they used to determine which type of corn, potato, like whatever crop would grow in better in what kind of location, so that they could be like, okay, this works better at high altitudes, this works better with more sunlight. And so they use that to determine what to grow, like where to grow what crops. And so that's fascinating to have some sort of agriculture laboratory that long ago. But we got to walk down there, see all of that. That was really, really fascinating. That was a little bit chilly because it was up in
Yeah, it started getting kind of cold.
yeah, that was up in the mountains again, really high. And but that was really fun getting to see all of that and just see like ancient cultures and how they did their farming and stuff. Yeah, just how they thought like, oh, this is where we need to grow this type of potato. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know how they thought about that back then, but somebody was pretty sharp figuring it all out. And then that afternoon, we went to a salt mine, like where they did all of this local salt thing. Oh, how do you want to say that?
It's got the salt pans. I mean, that's where they mine the salt. So they had built these like salt bath things, and they just like the same thing. It's not Jacob kept making jokes about like OSHA because he was like, because I mean they just build it one on top of the other and they just put them everywhere, and it's like there's no like regulation. It's just like get it done, And it was just neat to see that because you would see people out there working. I mean, you see these guys, these like probably 13 to 14-year-old kids just like popping a 120 bag of salt and just popping up the mountain and dropping it off and coming back down. I mean, it's just different families own different baths, or I guess they're called baths, but they're just kind of like off the mountain, but they just mine the salt all day. And then there's booths, like each family owns booths. So they sell this different salt, and the way that they put the flavors into it and the way that they put the coloring into it and all that kind of stuff. The rain really determines like what their crop's going to be that year. And it's historically accurate just because they've perfected it for so long, and these salt mines have been in their families for so long. So I mean, like that's what you do, and your kids do, and their kids do, and it's just generational businesses, and it's just that's really really cool.
One of the things I thought that they did was really fascinating is, like she said, each like section, like, and you say sections because you look at it and you can see how it's kind of divided up, like it's a bunch of farm plots. And some of these are probably like maybe a small closet size. Like they're not really
Mhm.
huge. Some of them are a little bit bigger than that. But each one of these little sections of families own. And what they did to prevent all these families from fighting and price gouging each other is they made the whole salt mine a corporation. And so they set the prices. So obviously, if you set like a booth up that Lindsay's talking about for tourism and stuff
Mhm.
like that, sure, you can set like your own kind of prices. But to the commercial like selling of the salt, so that one family doesn't price gouge and then they all suffer because they're competing in prices, they set the price per, I guess, kilogram of salt, and they sell that to the corporation, and then the corporation sells the salt. So that way nobody's getting screwed over because, Billy down the road is selling his salt for 10 cents a kilogram less than mine. And so everybody's buying salt from him. And then there's infighting among the local cultures. So they got rid of that, and that's how they solved that. And I thought that was a really
Oh
intelligent
yeah,
way to do things.
and that's that's something we really saw in Peru. Like it's not like people are trying to get a monopoly and they're not trying to fight about it. They're trying to figure out what's economically beneficial for everyone, and that was just really it's very different from America. And so it was really nice to be in that culture and in that just way of life, just to kind of understand it all. But I will say, I've got to get shout out to Jacob. They let us all pick up 120 pound of salt, like to see if we could pick it up. And I absolutely could not pick it up. But Jacob just popped that thing right up. So he's ready to go to the mines.
I'm a grown man.
I know, yeah.
Didn't you
That
do
was
something like strength training in Greece too? Did you
Oh, he
win
did the
something?
run. He won
Uh,
the like we went to the Olympic park. They all raced and he won. I know. I'm so lucky to be married to this man.
Yeah, good job.
he
Lucky.
He is
actually,
killing it in every country. We're just winning contests left and right. I should let the next ABD guys know.
no, it's too much pressure. I'd say I can't win them all, but
That was fun for the kids though. Like everybody got to try to pick it up. They always try to incorporate you're learning a lot, but they try to make it interactive and fun. And that's, everybody doesn't want to just sit and learn about history. I mean, we do, but everybody doesn't, especially kids. So they really make it fun and interactive for everybody.
But when you talk about rough jobs, picking up 120-pound bags of sand and walking them to the top, or not sand, sorry, picking up 125-pound bags of salt and walking them up these narrow walkways. It's almost like a balance beam. It's so small.
Yeah.
And taking them to the top of the salt mine and then going back down and doing that like 30, 40 times a day. They said they did like, I want to say 40 to 60 bags per day.
And they're so strong. Yeah.
Like 15.
Yeah.
So when I talk about like jobs, like people are complaining about like my job sucks, I hate, I'm like, dude, go freaking carry some salt bags in a mine and tell me how bad your job sucks.
Yeah. I'm sure they sleep well at night.
I know, but that's their family. I mean, that's what they do. So it's just neat. There's just so much, like we were talking about, everybody's just so proud of their culture, and that's nice to be around. It's really uplifting.
Yeah. So after the salt mines, we went back to the hotel, and
we
had a choice. Do we want to go do some more activities or just kind of chill on our own? So obviously, Lindsay and I said,
let's do it. Go. Whatever we're doing it.
And so some of us and our friends, we went to the local food market.
It's like a farmer's market. I mean, it's like a giant farmer's market.
Yeah, they built this huge 2-story building.
Like a warehouse.
I was like, what did this used to be? And they're like, no, this is what they built it for. It was this food market. And I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. And so we got to go to 2 or 3 different stalls where our guide, he told us about all the different things that they're selling, how it works, all that kind of stuff. It was super fascinating just listening and seeing all the different products. And then at the end of it, he said, okay, so tonight for dinner, this is what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you each 20 soles, and then you are going to go around the market and buy ingredients for dinner tonight.
And they called it Mickey money. So whenever they give us money, they call it, here's some Mickey money.
Yeah. It wasn't our,
little Disney pay. Exactly.
Yeah, I want to say it wasn't our money. I mean, technically it was our money.
We give Mickey so much money, it's fine.
Yeah. Mickey gave back.
Yeah.
And so it was fun because we're going around. And these are like local farmers market. Like,
oh, yeah.
None of them spoke any English.
And like Jacob speaks pretty decent Spanish, so we were fine. But like every day they just bring what they're going to cook to the market, and they just talk to the people in the stalls, and they just buy the food for that day. And the next day they do the same thing. So it's kind of neat how every day they're just purchasing what they need. So that was kind of a cool concept. So that's what we're trying to do, is purchase what we need for that meal and kind of showing what we're looking for. So.
And you can like barter and haggle.
Yeah.
And like one of the coolest things that he was talking about is like, I guess their attitude about it and stuff. They know that like when they sell you 4 pounds of something, maybe they give you 5. Mm-hmm. Because they have that built into the price so that you always feel like you're getting a little bit extra. Or if you come through and they notice like you get breakfast sandwich here every day before you go to the bus stop and you don't get one that day, they're like, hey, why are you not getting a sandwich today? And stuff like that. And you're like, oh, well, I forgot my money at home. And they're like, here, you can just have one today. And so like that's some of what they do with their culture to make sure that you, I guess, keep using them, is they give you a little bit extra. And he's like, it's all just a trick because they charge you extra. Yeah. Every 4 sandwiches, you're really paying for 5. It's built into the price, but that's what the way that they conduct their business to make everybody feel welcome and make them feel like they matter and they care. And it was pretty fascinating that they used that kind of technique and stuff.
And they do care. It's just
they do.
Their
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, they do care, but everybody's got to make money. I'm not trying to say they don't. Yeah. But, so we got to go around and talk to all the different people, and we're just like pointing at stuff. Like, I don't even know what this vegetable or spice is, and trying to talk with them in Spanish. She says I'm good at Spanish. I'm not. It's very.
Compared to the rest of the people on our trip, Jacob was the better Spanish speaker.
It's not saying much, but
we would just hold out some sodas and just be like, what can we get for this amount of? So they would like point to stuff and show us. It was just cool to interact,
Yeah. And
it's very nice.
You could barter and you're like, no, 5 soles, not 7. And they'd be like, okay, that's fine. Mm-hmm. And so we went through this, and we spent a little bit of time doing all of that. And we all just had huge bags and bags of food, because 20 soles went a really long way, especially when you're at the farmer's market buying raw materials. Like, it goes a really long way. So we all had a ton of food. And then afterwards, we gathered up to leave and take all the food. And I'm thinking, because we walked all the way from the hotel, and I'm carrying all these potatoes, and like, it's a lot. I'm like, I don't want to walk with this the rest of the trip all the way back to the hotel. And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, whatever. And so they're like, hey, we have to admit, I know that we should never do this, but we lied to you. And we're like, what is going on? They're like, this food is actually not for tonight. Actually, what we're going to do is there is a lady over here that walks all the way from this town that's like maybe a day away or something like that. She's not in the best of health. She's really elderly.
But she has a whole family to take care of.
but she has to walk in there every day to sell what she can so that she can get enough food to take home and stuff like that. And so they told us this story about this lady, and they're like, we're going to give all of this food to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to think 10 people, 20 like 200 solas, which is still not that much. I think that's like $50 or $60.
That'll be a good week for her as far as food.
But yeah, at least a week's worth of food.
And so she could either sell the food or eat the food that we bought. So
yeah, so that
it was really, and we got to meet her and take photos with her and talk to her. And I mean, she didn't speak very good English, but it was really humbling just to do that for her, because our guide, Lauren, who's our English guide, she had read it in a book, but I mean, I'll just quote it to her. But she said that there's a difference there's a difference in being a traveler and a tourist. You know, a tourist is someone who takes, but a traveler is someone who gives back. And so with ABD, they always want to be travelers. They always want to give back to the countries that we go to and to, express the importance of that. And so that's something that we'll probably take with us into our next trips, just not to just be consuming the culture, but also like give a little bit back from ourselves. That's kind of how people, and that's how we're going to get to know each other. And it was a good team building exercise because we all got to, talk to each other and haggle together and figure out what would go with what. And some of us were trying to get the most outrageous stuff just to see how they would cook it together. So it was just like a really cool experience as far as the market went. So I'm really glad we chose to go there instead of relaxing at the hotel because it was worth it.
But not only were you helping her and her family, you were also boosting the local economy with your Mickey money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know. Mickey was helping out. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, I love that lesson built in.
Yeah. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and it just like out of nowhere, just like stabs you in the heart what we're doing and helping you be better people too. It was
everybody was so moved. It was really, really neat. Yeah. And then we got to tell everybody that didn't go. We're like, guess what we did? You go to the spa and we're giving back, And then we went over to a ceramics. It was a studio, and he's a very famous ceramics artist in Peru, and he's also sold to like hotels all over the world. We got to meet him and watch him work on some of his ceramics and pottery and paint. And he would we just kind of let him stand there and tell us all about his pieces and different things like that, and how he came over here with his wife, to Peru with his wife, and they started the business together. And that was really cool. Just talk to him. That was a really short. I mean, it was about 30, 45 minutes, but that was another one of the optional things, is just to go meet that ceramics maker. I will say that the Peruvian, like the weaving and the ceramics, it's not really my taste. Like I have a more modern taste, but it was just really impressive to see it all. And a lot of people we were with bought stuff, and just to have something to take back. But it was just really, really neat. I will say that's a difference in Greece. I wanted to buy a lot of the stuff in Greece because a lot of it was just more my taste, but the workmanship that goes into the style in Peru was really impressive.
So Peru was great for our budget compared to
it's been a lot less. We did buy a lot of salt though, for like everybody, because it was all natural, and it was just really good quality salt, and so that's a really easy thing to bring souvenir to bring to people, because everybody uses salt.
Yeah, and she talks about we bought a lot of salt. It was like $10 worth of salt,
but we got like 10 packs, like it was so much salt.
A lot, but it was not very much money. So.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the exchange rate was probably a lot more in your favor in Peru than it was in Greece.
It's like 4-to-1 almost.
Yeah.
It was really, really cool though. It was like when we got back to the airport in Atlanta, we were like, ugh, why is this so expensive?
That night, we had a fun night after the ceramics, and the day out on the town, we went back and they had their head bartender teach us how to make pisco sours. So pisco is one of the drinks there that's pretty famous.
That's their it's originated there, and that's their whole thing.
Yeah. So they talked to us about pisco, the different kinds of pisco, and then how to make an actual pisco sour. And then so he made us all pisco sours there. It was really good. I loved it. I'm a cocktail kind of guy. They didn't have much bourbon there in Peru, surprisingly.
No.
So I tried to do a lot of the local stuff. So pisco sour was where it was. We got to do that. That was pretty fun. And then they cooked some of one of their chefs came out and cooked different local cuisines right there in front of us. They made ceviche and some different things right there in front of us. And then they got some of us to go out there and cook it as well. So that was really cool.
And they explained everything they're making, and they gave us recipes for everything, and just so we would understand, we would know how to make some traditional Peruvian meals. But I just have to take 1 second to talk about tiger's milk. The tiger's milk is the marinade that they basically use to cook the fish in the ceviche. And they were like, does anybody want to try tiger's milk? And obviously, we always want to try everything. Jacob didn't, because he's allergic to seafood, so it's very seafoody. But I tasted this, and this has to be the most disgusting thing I've ever tasted. It was just straight up tasted just like fish goop. And a lot of people loved it. They were like, this is so good. It was like sour, and fishy and just no. And I will say that they have it at Epcot, the Food and Wine Festival, where you can try it. Don't do that. Do not try this.
So where does it originate? Like, what is it?
It's literally like when you make ceviche and stuff, like the seasoning and the fish after it's all together, some of the liquid that comes from that, it's literally
the liquid in the ceviche. And people are like, this is so refreshing. I was like, I kept being like, I feel like I'm making out with a fish. This is terrible. And it's called like Tigris de Leche or something like that. And it's just
it looks
absolutely not.
It looks like milk because of like I guess how it is, the white coloring from between the fish and the different spices and stuff.
Yeah, don't eat that by yourself. That by itself, just don't do it. And the kids all went and learned how to make pizzas. So they were like throwing the pizzas up and like to put them all together. So whenever we had dinner, we could eat what we cooked, or we could have pizza from the other side because they brought us all back together to eat. So that was cool that like we got to be part of the demonstration, but then the kids got to come back. And we had made really good friends with a lot of the kids too. So we were happy to see them. We are friends, Seth and Rebecca. They have 2 kids, Ben and Alice. And Alice was 10, and she was like that kid who's down for whatever. You know, she's best friends with everybody. She's running around crazy. She's so happy. And she made this, we had several of us, she made us into a girl band. She named it ABD, but it was Alice's Band Divas.
Oh my
so
God,
like the whole time we had to take pictures of like our band, like our photo, like our band album covers.
Oh, that's so
cool. It was like her mom, Rebecca, and then me and Nellie and her. And we were like singing songs going around to different places. So she was all hyped up from her pizza making. So we were just playing and having a good time after that. And then we went after that to play a game. It's called Zappo, and it's kind of like you like throw these coins into these different holes. It's kind of like, I mean, it's similar to beer pong, honestly.
I was going to say, is it beer pong?
Yeah, it's reminding me of, but it's like, there's
It's
also
a drinking game.
Yeah, there's like a frog. You like try to get into the frog's mouth. So there was one at her hotel, and we had played it earlier in the day. So that was really fun just to go play and hang out with some of our friends. And that was how we ended the night. And to be honest, it was only like 9:30, but we were all like, okay, it's time to go to bed. You know, we were going to bed earlier because we were getting up early to do everything.
Yeah. The next day was, the
big day.
The big day. We went to Machu Picchu, so we had to go to bed a little bit early.
Hey everyone, Krystle here. Sorry to leave you on the edge of your seat for Machu Picchu, but this episode was just getting kind of long. There was too many good things. We didn't want to cut it down. So hang with us, and we're going to do a part 2, but you don't have to wait until next week. It'll just be a day or two. With that, we're going to wrap up this episode, and we'll be back with part 2 soon.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wanderlust and Wishes.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And remember, the world is full of wonders waiting to be explored. Until next time, happy travels.
Bye for now.